Hello, Radiant One, and welcome to the Golden Frequency, the show and podcast sharing wisdom, experiences, tools, and knowledge for and from the new era, weaving the worlds of seen and unseen, spiritual and practical, magical and mundane. I'm your host, spiritual business coach, energy alignment method mentor, catalyst, and facilitator, Maria Saraphina. I serve soul-driven, heart-based spiritual entrepreneurs, business owners, Magdalene's Rising, and golden great keepers wanting to grow and expand from within, as well as lead with love in business and life. If you've yet to join my sacred newsletter community of Radiant Ones here to support the unveiling, the awakening, transformation, and healing of all through the lifting of the frequency and the vibration of our realm, personally and collectively, I invite you to join us. Go to mariasarafina.com/DCIA. You'll also receive my free Divine Clarity and Inspired Action Guide, which I've created for you. Divine Clarity and Inspired Action is designed to help you connect deeply with your divine feminine essence of gnosis, wisdom, knowledge, and intuition, as well as activate your divine masculine essence of action, creation, foundation, expansion, and building, so that you may experience the satisfaction and liberation that comes from bringing to life that which you're here to birth, while being, doing, and living your soul's divine purpose. On my website, you'll also find show notes, transcripts, and previous episodes. Know that I always encourage you to listen with an open heart and an open mind, and take only what serves you and leave the rest. It is my deep honor, my great pleasure, and joy to share this episode with you. Here is today's episode. Hello, Radiant One, and a very big and a very warm welcome into today's episode of The Golden Frequency. Today I'm going to be diving into an inquiry that has been with me for a bit, and it's an inquiry that's currently still unfolding, and I think that it will continue to unfold. However, I wanted to bring you in on this because I wanted to share what I'm seeing, and I would also love to hear from you as to what you're seeing based on what I'm sharing and what discoveries that you'll be making throughout this share. So as I said, it's an inquiry, and as I was as I was preparing for this episode and thinking about the inquiry, what I was always also drawn to is prayer, and how prayer is our communication with Source or God or the universe, whatever you want to call it. If you're new to me, it's important to know that when I say God, to me, God is love and God is energy. God is source. It's not an old man sitting somewhere and judging us for whatever we do or we don't. It's the living, breathing fabric of all of who we are and all of what we have ever been and ever will be. It's what makes up everything. And so whenever you have a question, or that's at least my experience now, is that when we have a prayer or a communication or an inquiry, when we're asking a question, the answer will come in some way, shape, or form. It may not come in the form or the shape that you're intending it to or wanting it to, but somehow it'll show up, and that's how it is for me, at least with inquiries. It's an exploration. It's a willingness to open yourself up to receiving guidance or answers in a way that is, the word that comes up for me is eternal and infinite, and it's a way of, I like to call it the universal database. It's information that's freely available to all of us. It's about when are we ready to open up into receiving that information. And so I've had this inquiry, and the working title, or because I'm not really sure what to fully call it, it's about encompassing the whole, and how we as spiritual beings having a human experience are able to, as we grow and expand through love, how our capacity to encompass all of who we are, more and more of who we are, expands. And so I've also been sitting with how does this happen? How does this begin to be my quote unquote new normal? How does this come to be? And the conclusion I've drawn so far is that it's about the internal work. It's about the shifting of the frequency and the vibration, of course, through the energy work that I do, but also through the contemplations, the inquiries, the inner work, the shadow work, the going into the darkness, sitting with your demons and your devils, and all of doing the shadow work, all of that, as well as the loving. Well, that's not true, because the shadow work for me is also part of the loving work. So it's both of those. So it's and as I work with or sat with the whole marrying your divine feminine and your divine masculine essences, as well as their shadow aspects, there is this sacred marriage or this sacred union. And I'm wondering if that is what I'm actually experiencing. And I would love to hear from you as well, to see if that's where you're at as well, or if you're on that journey or in that path. Is that how the more unionized, I don't know if that's the right word in this particular case, but it's the more that you begin to marry those essences, the more you begin to understand that it's not an either or. It can be a both and so we have the capacity to be in a both and I've been wondering whether or not this was connected to patriarchy or old paradigm, and I get the sense that it's more old paradigm than it necessarily is patriarchy. It's the notion that you can't be one thing and then also the other thing. Again, that goes back to the either or, and what I'm seeing is that you can be quote unquote both. You can encompass the whole. And so maybe I should define what I mean by encompass the whole. And so it's you can be both the teacher and the student at the same time. You can be the brilliant expert in something, and at the same time be the stumbling, fumbling beginner in another area. You can be very, very sad and also completely ecstatically happy. It doesn't have to be either or. In some of the things that I'm sitting with is, for years, I've traveled back and forth between the U.S. and Denmark. And I would love to be able to settle in either California or Maui. So prayers up, please. However, what I'm finding is, as I'm quote unquote settling in Denmark and being happy with the sanctuary where I'm at, if you follow me on Instagram, you'll see the stories about how the sanctuary is unfolding and expanding and growing. And at the same time, I would also love to live somewhere else. And I'm making steps towards that as well. So again, it's not either or. I don't have to be unhappily settled. I can be happily settled here and at the same time still want for something different. I can, when it comes to, for example, being single, I can be happily single and love my single quote unquote life, but also still at the same time want for a partner. It doesn't have to be that it's either or. When it comes to business, we see that I see that at least in so many different areas where you can have this, you can be happy about the state of your business. You can be happy about, the rushing of members to your membership site, or the signups for your workshops, or you can be happy about the products or the services, or where you're at with your business financially, possibly, and still want more. I think what's really important and what I'm seeing is whether or not that, I don't want to say yearning or longing, because it desire maybe is even better, like the desire for more, whether or not that comes from a place of fear or whether or not it comes from a place of love. And I think that is hitting the core of it, is that if you're truly satisfied and content and joyous with what you have, then the wanting or the desire for more comes from that place rather than a fearful, I'm scared, I whether it's coming from, I see this so often where it's either perfectionism or it's the notion that because we live in a world that has put up these smoke and mirrors, these illusions about what it is that you need to obtain in order for you to be happy, in order for you to be satisfied, in order for you to be joyous. And so if you're seeking or you're yearning or you're longing comes from that place of, oh, I can't show the world that I'm a beginner. I can't show like that. Like if they see that I'm a beginner, then that comes, so I will never ever learn something new. Then that's placed in fear, because why wouldn't you want to learn something new or move into a new area, either of your business or your life? And so it's the question of does it come from a space of fear, or does it come, because the way that I view the world is that your love, pure divine creation love. And as you begin to do the work, you lift the veils that I like to call it. You lift the veils that are hindering your sight, so you're able to see who you are in truth. There's nothing outside of you that can do that. You may want for tools or support or books or different techniques, which are fine, but ultimately those will do absolutely nothing for you unless you choose to do the work. And when you do the work, it's not about adding something to yourself that you're not. It's about lifting the veils so that you expand your ability to see that which you are. And I think that through that journey comes also the expansion of your capacity to embody or encompass the whole, so that you're able to be in those both and without it creating a tension that seems like it's, without it being rigid, I have to be this or I have to be that. I can actually be both. And I know personally, I'm an Aries sun. I in the Enneagram, I'm an 8. There's a lot of me that's like, I don't want to say rigid, but surrender required a lot for me, and still do at times. And so allowing yourself to move into that space of being a beginner, recognizing that I do not know shit about this, and allowing yourself to be in that space can be really, really difficult until you come from the space of love. Because when it comes from a space of love, a space of, I want to learn this because I either want to share it with the world, or I want to uplift, or I want to empower, I want to support myself or others, or does it come from a fearful thing of like, I have to keep getting all of these degrees? That's one of the things, one of the themes that very often come up in my sessions or in my work with clients, is that, why are you getting another degree, or why do you think that you need to have this? I have nothing against certifications or degrees or education in any way, shape, or form. I love it. Like, do it. But is it coming from a space of, I am not enough, and so I have to try and add all this stuff to me so the world can see that I'm enough? Or does it come from a place of, I love myself so hard that I want to add this to me because I want to expand even further through love. And I think that that's, again, and that when we look at business, it's kind of the same thing. It's are you constantly putting out new content or constantly creating new products or services because that's what, like, otherwise X, Y, and Z will happen? You can feel into whether or not that comes from a space of fear or from a space of love. Those two frequency or vibrations have, a very distinct and very different. And if you're coming from a space of fear, that's totally okay. That's totally fine. Because if you're recognizing that in this moment, congratulations. Like, you have the opportunity to do something about it. You have the opportunity to shift or change or transform it if you want to. And I'm guessing since you're still here, you probably do. A couple of tools. Number one is I have recently released the energy alignment, the 5 steps to creating flow in every area of your life and your business. It's called, by the energy alignment method. It's the energy alignment method that I am trained and certified in. And that's a free guide that you can download. So if something's coming up for you, I would encourage you to download that free guide and move through it with whatever's coming up for you, so you're able to shift and change that frequency and the vibration. While the energy alignment method is a powerful tool, it's also not, and it can shift and does shift and transform frequency and vibration very quickly. You also will have to take steps in your everyday life to put into action that which you do want. And so that's to say that there is no, there is no magic pill. There is no, I would like to say, one ring to bind them all. There is the work that you do, the work that you choose to do. And so, and again, I just want to make a quick note. Sorry, I just had a cough. One of the things that I do want to note about fear is that fear seems to be getting this bad rep in the world. And it's like, oh, we have to, and I say this a lot. I say dissolve fear and in order to move into love, because you can't, there's no way around fear. But the thing with fear is that fear as an emotion or as a feeling is perfectly normal, and it is very, very powerful, and it's very, very valuable for a reason. It's designed, whenever fear kicks into your physical self, it gives you super strength, adrenaline, all these different things that will literally allow you to move away from that which you do fear. In today's modern world, the only question is that which you fear real? And as I always say, if there is a tiger in the room, if you're in physical danger of any sorts, stop watching the video and move out, get out. Don't stay in that situation, because that's not serving you. However, very often when we do the internal work, all of our demons, our devils, our shadows, everything that comes up will bring about that same kind of fear, because it's transformative. And it's also a sign or a clue that there's something here for you to possibly look at if you choose to do so. I'm a stickler for free will. I'm a stickler for saying you have free will, whatever it is. Always take what serves you and leave the rest. You have free will. And so I want to leave you with this inquiry. And like I've said a few times, I would love to hear from you in terms of where you're at with this, in terms of your journey of encompassing the whole, of being able to, like I said, both be scared shitless about, something that you really want or desire, as well as be completely elated and satisfied and content. So it's rarely one or the other. It's usually both And I'm just checking to see if there's anything else I want to share with you. No. How am I swaying? No. Yes. So that is what I had for you today. Encompassing the whole. Thank you. I love you. Radiant One, I hope today's episode served you well. For all the deeds and details, click the link in the description. And if you've enjoyed this episode, please share it with a friend so that the love shared within this episode through our connection may be amplified and rippled further out into the world. Thank you. I love you.